Making holy bread is very simple. We're going to use 5 ingredients only. Okay, we have flour, salt, water, sugar, and yeast. The sugar is not for anything sweet, it's just to activate the yeast. All right, so first start out with 2.5 pounds of flour. This is going to make you 3 loaves of holy bread. And we got a teaspoon of salt, which is about like that. Okay, now you can use your hands and you mix it by hand. I would say use a mixer. It'll save you a lot of times, make it a lot easier. We'll just get the salt going in there. Okay, now we've got hot water. It's hot, warm. It's not boiling water, but it's hot. It's hot water. That way the yeast will activate. So we've got 1 tablespoon of yeast. Just sprinkle it in there nicely. You have half a tablespoon of sugar. And then we just take a whisk and whisk it together really nicely. Okay, no lumps, nothing left. Okay, so we get this going. Take your liquid and just slowly pour it in. Pretty easy, right? Okay, we're going to mix that together. Now, with holy bread, you want the dough to be not too soft. You don't want it sticky. You want it nice and firm, but not dry. All right, this should be pretty good. Each kitchen is going to be a little bit different. When your weather changes, it's going to be a little bit different, so keep your eye on it. But this is a fairly foolproof method of making the dough. Okay, you don't want to overmix it, but you want to make sure it's smooth enough. You don't want any lumps in there. Okay, it's almost ready. We'll just pick it up there. Okay, it's forming a nice ball here. I hold my hands like that just in case the flour kicks out on top, so it doesn't make a mess on your counter. Okay, looks good. Okay, so we're just going to take it out like that. So your dough hook should come right out of the dough, nice and clean, so that we know it's not too sticky. All right? Okay, what we're going to do with this now, take this out, and then just going to stretch it out into a loaf to roll it out because we want to be able to divide this into 3. Now, some priests like them a little thicker. If they do, you want to make 2.5 out of this one. I do 3 because the math is much easier to be able to divide it into thirds. So if you want, you can weigh the pieces, make sure they're even. That's pretty close. Okay. So now you're going to take each one and make a nice ball out of it. Now this is the only tricky part. It takes a little bit of practice. Okay. What you're going to do is kind of pinch underneath here with your left hand, and just rotate it with your right hand. Okay, so the idea is we're going to make a nice smooth ball out of this. Now, people tend to want to do this. We don't want to do that. Your bottom hand is just going to spin it, and it's going to pinch a little bit, okay, to get that smooth. The top hand is just going to keep spinning that around, okay, until it's fairly smooth on the bottom, okay. That one's good. One more here. Okay, just spin. This is the part that takes a little bit of practice. The bigger your hands are, or the bigger the palms of your hands are, the easier it is. So you'll get it. It just takes some getting used to. Okay, I kind of sometimes fold it under. Okay, to make it smooth. The idea is just you don't want any creases on the bottom. You want it nice and smooth when all is said and done. Okay? See, like very nice like that. We're going to put it. What I've got here is a cookie sheet with parchment paper on it. Okay, no need to use any extra flour on there. We'll put these out And all we're going to do is just sort of paint the tops. This is just vegetable oil. And I'm only using this so that the plastic wrap we're going to put on top of this doesn't stick to it. Okay, so just get not too much on there, but enough so it'll prevent the plastic from sticking. Okay. And then we're going to cover them with a towel. You can do a light blanket, a beach towel, anything that's clean is fine. Okay. Okay, and I just use any old clean towel. Use a beach towel. Whoop. Okay, so now we have our 3 balls of dough that are covered up, and they're going to raise for 1 hour. And it's very simple. That took about 5 minutes to do. That's all it should take you. Okay, part 1 is done. We've made our dough. It's raised for an hour. Now it's time to stamp the stamp on the bread. And this is a stamp we're going to use. You can find these online or in most church bookstores. They're about $10 or so, depending on what type you get. And I'll explain what all the markings mean in just a minute. All right, so the dough has been raising for an hour. We're ready to go. Now we'll take the plastic off. This is where that oil comes in nicely. See, it comes off there without sticking. Now we're not going to use a rolling pin. We're just going to take our hands and just pat it out like that. This is nice and firm. A little bit larger. Try to keep them as round as you can. They don't have to be perfect. Very simply now, take your stamp in some flour. Okay, so that's not going to stick. And center it up. Push it down really firmly. When you take it off, don't take it straight up. You want to sort of go to the side a little bit. See how nice the stamp turned out there, okay? Every time you're going to stamp it, you got to reflour it or it'll stick and you will not get it off the dough cleanly. Okay. Push it. You can do top and bottom, side to side, and just come out to the side here. Here we go. Okay. Get yourself a matchstick or something sharp because we're going to poke some holes so the whole thing doesn't raise and explode. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the corners, 1 in the middle, and then all the way around. About an inch apart, ends up being about 9 holes. That's not critical, but you just want to get it nicely spaced. Okay? Real quickly, you'll see what the seal is. This one came out very nicely. ICXCNIKA. That means Jesus Christ conquers. Okay? These triangles here are for the saints, the martyrs, the prophets, the fathers, the church fathers, and when the priest is preparing communion, he'll take each one of those out for them. This over here is for the Theotokos. So that's an overview. There are more prayers, and we'll do a separate video on that to tell you more details about what the seal is all about, but just so you know what that is, okay? And that's it. We're going to put it in the oven. If you have I put it at 450 degrees. If you have a convection oven, you might try it at 425. Each oven's going to be a little bit different. If you put them in one tray at a time, about 18 or 20 minutes, they'll be ready. Okay? So we'll put these in the oven. Also, take your racks and put them up high in the oven. That way the bottoms don't get too browned. Okay. So we'll put these in. And away we go. Okay, it's been in about 18 minutes, and you'll know they're ready when they get a nice and brown on the top. You don't want them burned or anything, just like that. Okay, that's beautiful. And we'll put that to the side. After they've been out of the oven for a couple minutes and they've cooled on those trays, you might have to cut them apart if they've pushed together. We're just going to take it and see how that is nice on the bottom, nice and brown, but it's not burnt or anything. Okay, we'll put them on a cooling rack, and we're good to go. It only took us about 2 hours from start to finish. We made 5 loaves. Ask your priest how many loaves he wants so you make the correct amount. We'll be making more videos in the future, so please follow us by liking our Facebook page at St. Simeon Orthodox Christian Mission, and also on our YouTube channel. You can follow us there. Okay, we'll see you next time.